Jeremy, from the policy maker's perspective, what does it look like London needs to you on this broad agenda of live, work and move?
Thank you, Greg. Well, firstly, I would certainly endorse all of what Colin said. With regard to the aviation reports, we'll have to see what Davies actually recommends. Clearly, many of the mayoral candidates are opposed to the option of Heathrow, but all of them support the idea that we need additional capacity. I just wanted to make some observations, really, which I guess I was expecting to make in response to someone who might become my political master in a few months' time. Although you talk about me as a policy maker, of course, we take our lead from our elected politicians, and they are the ones who have the democratic legitimacy to tell us, civil servants, what to do. Would you like me to continue, Chair?
I think I'd like you to continue,
that's fine.
while Tessa gets ready.
So, the observation. A few days ago, I read a rather cynical article, I thought, in the FT, arguing that despite the quality of the prospective mayoral candidates, there's precious little they could actually do to or for the city, that London was some kind of untamable economic beast whose trajectory was very hard to change, which led me to think a little bit about the role of London government and whether it had played any part in the city's success. Now, it is true that there are many inherent advantages of the city. Our time zone, our location, enabling us to transact business across the globe in a single day, usually in our native language, English. We've been a trading city for centuries, which has breeded a sense of tolerance and dynamism, I believe, in equal measure. And in addition to those, national governments have, by and large, set policy frameworks that support the city. We have a relatively benign business environment, relatively low tax, not too much regulation, very easy to set up and transact business. So these inherited and conferred advantages have provided some of the foundations for London's success story. So what has London government ever done for the city, as Monty Python might have put it? To which I would hope various voices in this audience would pipe up. Well, Crossrail 1, which Colin alluded to, the Olympic Games, a liberal planning regime that has enabled business to grow. We see these vertical factories of financial and business services all around the city that weren't here 20 years ago. The regeneration of the Lower Lee Valley, congestion charging, a world first. On the back of the Games and other promotional efforts, we now have the highest number of visitors to the city compared to any other in the world. We had the Tour de France Grand Depart in 2007, something we might want to emulate in 2017. Apprenticeships, the living wage, tech city, med city, which have helped spur those sectors. Numerous cultural initiatives that have contributed to the city's renowned buzz. National government gave us the Tube PPP. I think TfL have given us a great improvement to the London Overground, and we hope to take over more of the suburban services, particularly now that Sir Peter Hendy is in charge of Network Rail. We think that might be more possible than before. Now, clearly, all of those things have not happened solely because of London government and the mayor, but I would argue that very few of them would have happened without their absolute support. And the truth is that London has developed most successfully when there's been a strong partnership between the city, national government, and business. So my observation is simply that Tessa, or whoever is the elected mayor, you will be able to make a big difference. Not that you would have ever doubted that yourself, in fact. Now, the big concern that I have with regard to sustainability is whether London government, national government, and Londoners are ready, prepared, and willing to embark upon decades of hard graft in creating a city that evinces strong, sustainable growth in all its dimensions, socially, environmentally, and financially. And there are a number of areas where we need to be realistic. We have now surpassed our population peak set actually 70 years ago. We're in this new unprecedented era of growth, and without action, we will be facing very overcrowded housing, transport, and schools. We will be facing energy and water shortages, and the city could soon become quite an intolerable place to live. That, of course, is without action. In practice, everyone in this room and many others are taking action to ensure that the city can become livable. London government does not possess the same powers or authority as the authorities of most cities, so alone it will be challenging to address the problems that the capital faces. Secondly, national government is always concerned to ensure that the rest of the country does well. And although I don't think there is any active policy against London, neither is there a clear impression that Whitehall is striving to do its best for the city. Again, I think it speaks to Colin's point that perhaps civil servants are more concerned about retaining power than actually seeing their capital city grow sustainably. The third area of weakness, potentially, is whether we, as Londoners, are really ready to accept the growth of the city and whether we are intelligent enough, skilled enough to develop a civilized and civilizing place. And given that we are about the most highly skilled workforce on the planet, if we can't, it is difficult to see which city can. I led the work on the London Infrastructure Plan to 2050, and the overall quantum of development required to sustain London's growth is significant. 20% increase in energy demand, even despite heroic assumptions on energy efficiency, 1.5 million new homes, 600 schools and colleges, 9,000 hectares of green space, a 50% increase in public transport capacity. That is a mountain of development that the city needs to conquer, let alone sustainably. Finally, then, reasons to be cheerful despite these challenges facing us. Just 3 points. Firstly, actually everyone in the UK needs London to succeed, and that will be reflected in all sorts of policy areas, from the bank levy, which we might see ameliorated shortly, through to the investment in infrastructure that London needs. Secondly, new technology. We wrote the 2050 plan very cognizant of the obvious fact that technology will render many of our predictions and theories about how London will grow redundant. We are nevertheless, using today's technology, able to imagine what the city might look like in 3D even before we create it. Business information modelling is being developed. Building information modelling is beginning to transform the way in which architectural practices, engineers work, and that technology can be designed to look across the whole city and how developments all fit together. Energy storage and improvements in the means of sustainable energy production is another area where I think we have reason to be very hopeful for the future. And thirdly, as a nod to Tessa and the other mayoral candidates, actually I think politics will help. It is absolutely right that housing is first and foremost the centre of the forthcoming election campaign. It is the matter which Londoners are rightly most concerned about. And by its very nature, there will be a move, I believe, to creating the policies that will be required, that will need to be quite radical to deliver the housing that Londoners need.